Welcome to St. Edward's University. We are here to tell you about our Journalism and Digital Media program. My name is Jena Heath. I'm Associate Professor of Journalism and Digital Media and Associate Dean in the School of Arts and Humanities. And I'm here today with my colleague, Curt Yowell.
Hello, I'm happy to be here and to speak with you all about our Journalism and Digital Media program at St. Edward's.
Curt's a visiting assistant professor in journalism and digital media, and he is the faculty advisor for Hilltop Views, which is our student-run news outlet. So we're going to show you some slides and talk a little bit about our program, and we'll get started now. Today's webinar is going to be about 30 minutes, might be a little bit shorter, and we will give you information to contact us if you would like to ask us questions. We're both very accessible and happy to talk with you, or if you're a prospective student's parent, with you about any questions you may have about our program and about St. Edward's. If you have questions, feel free to enter them in the chat, and we'll get going. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about what journalism is now, because there's a fair amount of assumption about journalism. People think they know what journalism is, but they may not really understand how journalism is practiced and how very relevant journalism is in a democracy. We try to talk to our students both about practicing journalism as journalists, but also about engaging in civic life and understanding journalism as part of civic life and all of our obligations to be informed about what's happening in our country, in our world, and in our local communities. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the trends in current journalism. And when I went into the newsroom, I was a reporter and editor for 20 years at 5 different newspapers. I ended sort of the crescendo of my career was covering the White House. I covered President George W. Bush's 2000 campaign, and then the White House. I covered the 9/11 attacks and the aftermath in Washington. I started as a print journalist, and in my time as a journalist, very quickly, actually, within about 5 years of my career starting, newsrooms started to become digital. I had received my master's degree in journalism at the Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism. I was trained as a print journalist and had to start learning new skills and thinking about new ways to tell stories and report the news really within about 5 years of my career beginning. And that trend has only accelerated. So in 2015, the New York Times launched a new way of telling stories, decided to experiment with virtual reality. The New York Times has a very impressive digital operation. And these are an array of skills that I learned on the job, but that we train our students to have, so that they are cross-trained, so that they can tell stories with whatever tool they need to use. And we also try to help them understand the digital ecosystem that journalism is currently operating in. So one of the most exciting new trends has been virtual reality. The New York Times debuted in a big way some of its virtual reality work in a series of stories about children who were displaced by war or climate change or any number of the other catastrophic events that are moving migrants across the globe. This has been one of the biggest stories of our current moment. And the New York Times showcased this young woman, Hannah. She was 12 years old. She was a refugee, and it really showed what the virtual reality allows you to see. If you download the app on your phone, you can, and if you look on your desktop, the New York Times actually sent VR glasses. And so you can really be in the experience, Hannah's experience. It isn't that you're watching from a distance, it's that you're really placed in the moment with her. And if any of you are into gaming, you know what I'm talking about. And so these sorts of digital techniques have been imported really and interpreted by journalists for the purpose of explaining some of the big important events happening in our time. We talk to our students about this. More recently, just a couple of weeks ago, the New York Times used its virtual reality to talk about social distancing and to try to really visually explain why 6 feet of social distancing, which is all the medical advice we're getting right now, is so important in this COVID-19 pandemic. If you have the VR app on your phone, the New York Times app, which I do, and you turned to this story in the print edition, we still get the Sunday print edition at our home because I feel very strongly that I want to support good journalism as a subscriber, both digital and in print. Not everybody does that, but I kind of do both where I can. I also like to compare and see what's happening in the print edition to what's happening in the digital edition. So in the print edition, I turned to this story, Social Distancing, Why 6 Feet? And it was a series of illustrations. And you can see this, the print version here, the guy with the green mask, you can see that the paper used illustrators, graphic designers to lay this out. And you can see this little QR code on the print edition. Well, it instructs you to take your phone. If you have an iPhone or an iPad and you turn your camera on, you hold the camera over the QR code, you get a message on your phone pops up that says, open the New York Times app. And click on that and you open the app. And what you see, and this is just a little bit of a snapshot from the virtual reality version of this print story. When you scroll through this story, this illustration that you're seeing moves, and it shows you this scenario of these figures, these avatars, moving backwards, moving closer. It's explaining, aerosolized particles that leave all of our mouths when we talk to each other. It really shows you, it demonstrates through motion with also text kind of leading you through so you can understand how it is that we can infect one another with COVID-19 unwittingly and why it's important to stay 6 feet apart. And so for many older readers for whom digital techniques are really difficult or just didn't grow up learning them, aren't used to them, still take the New York Times in print. They can see this through the illustration that's in the print edition. For younger readers who are getting so much of their information on their telephones, we use our phones for my phone is my office, it's my calendar, it's my news delivery system. The virtual reality version is telling the same story in a different way. So we try to help our students understand this transition, which has really occurred in the last 30 to 35 years and is ongoing, is accelerating, because of course we've also seen that news is on our mobile devices and we access so much information on our mobile devices, and that presents just even another chapter in the digital discussion of news and how it's gathered and disseminated. So journalism is a digital field. Storytelling techniques continue to change and develop. We at St. Edward's University, we have a small program, but it's a very rigorous program, and it's a program centered in teaching you to really use digital tools and also to think about the best way to tell your story, usually in a digital environment. We also stress writing. Writing is very, very important. It is no less important in a digital environment than it is in a print environment. So a lot of these skills, nothing gets thrown out. Nothing is so old-fashioned that it can't be translated into the current moment. And we try to kind of teach our students to write differently, often shorter, in a digital environment, but that writing is very important. And in fact, Curt and I are both in our writing and rhetoric program, and we have a concentration in journalism and digital media in our writing and rhetoric major. So we teach journalism at St. Edward as it's practiced now. We are not, what's the word I want to use? I remember an analog world. My life is half analog now and half digital. Um, and I sometimes pine for a slower time, but we live in a digital world, so it's really important to understand how to use these tools and techniques and how to think about this. But we also teach students the basics. You need to know how to report with accuracy. You need to know how to report thoroughly. You need to know how to be sensitive in the stories you report and with the people who help you understand and disseminate information to readers and viewers. We teach writing with clarity and precision. We think writing is very, very important. We hear this from employers who are adamant that they seek really good writers and that this is a skill and a talent that is not commonly found. So our graduates do very well in a range of writing professions. Our writing and rhetoric major has concentrations in creative writing, professional writing. So we really train students to be in the area of writing they're most interested in. Our skills, the skills that we teach in journalism and digital media are highly transferable. Not all of our students become journalists. Some of our students do, they go on and they do extremely well. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about student outcomes in a few minutes. But our students go into public relations and communications. They go work for all kinds of organizations. They go into law. I had a student who was a biology major and a journalism and digital media minor. She wanted to be a medical and science reporter. And of course, that's a very, very important beat at the moment to really understand medicine and science and to be able to write about it for a mass audience, very important. So our students do a variety of things with the skills that we teach them. We offer journalism and digital media as a minor, not a major. We believe very strongly that we can teach you the skills and that it's important for you to marry this with a major that you feel strongly about. So if you're a biology major and a journalism and digital media minor, you want to be a science and medical writer, as I just said, it's really good to have that biology major. If you're a political science major, you're interested in politics and government, and you're interested in the communication side of politics and government, the journalism and digital media minor is a perfect combination for you. Our students major in all sorts of things, and they take the minor and they marry it with their major, and they have a really powerful course of study. We have a digital media management major that's a kind of a larger digital major, and a number of our students have majored in digital media management, minored in journalism and digital media, and really taken that digital focus into all kinds of workplaces. I'm going to let Curt talk about Hilltop Views, which is our student news organization.
Yeah, Hilltop Views, I think the important thing, we'll talk a little bit more towards the end as well, but the important thing I want to stress right now is it's a completely student run, and it has the support of the university. Our department and our university believes it's important to have an independent student-led news organization on campus. I think that's very important in 2020. And the students get real world experience, not just writing news stories, but how to run an organization. Those skilled development areas such as leadership, right, for our student leaders for Hilltop Views as well are very important. So
I think it's also really important to think about Hilltop Views. We think about it as a lab. If you were a science student, you would be in a science lab. If you're a journalism and digital media student or a writing student with an interest in journalism, we feel like Hilltop Views is your laboratory. There's a safety net, although students are entirely independent in the editorial decisions and they create all the content and write all the material. The faculty advisor, Curt, serves as a guide and a safety net to students to help them really learn these skills in a learning educational environment. And when students have had experience at the paper and sort of build their confidence and get their skills, we help them move out into newsrooms in the community and out of state. We've had students go to Washington and do internships in New York City. We help them when they're ready for that leap. But it's really good to use the lab of your college newspaper, news organization. It's Hilltop Views is fully digital, it's online, and it publishes in print once a week as a tabloid edition that's distributed around campus. And we feel very strongly that students should be involved in Hilltop Views and get that foundational training before they move into a professional newsroom. We want you to be ready when it's time to move into a professional newsroom, and we help you figure that out. Okay, so I'm going to explain a little bit about the minor. Journalism and digital media is a 21 credit hour minor. You can see the required courses, 15 credit hours. Media standards and practices is essentially the media ethics course. We really teach you about professional codes. We teach you all the kind of nitty gritty about journalistic ethics and practices in newsrooms. We still teach copy editing. We think it's very important for students to have that extra dose of grammar and writing style, syntax, Associated Press style, so that you're prepared for writing in any kind of environment, really news environment, or even if you're in a PR or marketing firm, you're going to need to know AP style when you're drafting press releases. And we also teach you to use social media in a way that works in any environment. You just want to be able to write well. Interactive media production and design is a fully digital course. It's a prerequisite to J2, producing news online. It's designed to really lay a foundation for you, help you get, we have you, it's a fully mobile course. So we have you make things. You tell a video story, you tell an audio story, you use the phone as more than a phone, really as a tool for storytelling. And then in J2, you use the Adobe Creative Suite. All of our students have access to the Adobe Creative Suite. So you learn to edit video on Premiere, you record and edit audio on Audition. This is all part of the Creative Suite. And we have a digital media center with an array of digital tools that are available to students, including LinkedIn Learning, which used to be lynda.com and is this full library of videos, instructional videos, which we can embed in our courses and provide supplementary opportunities for students who want to learn any number of skills. LinkedIn Learning has everything from Excel to audio and video editing. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do with LinkedIn Learning, and we try to bring these tools into our classes. Journalism 1 is the introductory course, writing and reporting news. Everybody takes it. We really, when students think they might be interested in journalism and digital media, but they're not sure, we advise you to take J1. It will give you a good solid foundation and help you understand sort of what journalism is. And I find students, the bug bites them there if it hasn't already, if they haven't come in as high school journalists. I was high school managing editor of my high school paper, so the bug bit me there. But if you take J1 and you like it, usually students stick with it. And we work very closely with students throughout their 4 years at the university, or 2 years if you're a transfer student. And you can see that you have 6 hours of electives. So we have colleagues who are adjunct instructors who are at work in newsrooms who are professionals, and they come and teach at St. Edward's. We want you to have that professional experience, professional journalists who are on the job. So the broadcast journalism course is taught by a very highly respected broadcast journalist here in town who works for the NBC affiliate. We have a podcasting course in the fall semester that will be taught by a very experienced audio journalist who is at work at our NPR affiliate. So a number of the elective courses, and sometimes the core courses, depending, are taught by people who are really professionals who are in the newsrooms now. You can major in writing and rhetoric, as I said, and you can choose the journalism and digital media concentration, which is embedded in the writing and rhetoric major, and you can see what that looks like here. It looks a lot like the minor with some of the writing and rhetoric classes that are really central to the writing and rhetoric major. You can also major in communication. About half our students are communication majors, and they are really interested in journalism and digital media. So they major in comm, they minor in journalism and digital media. So really, however you want to do this, you can wrap your hands around journalism and digital media. I'll tell you a little bit about our faculty. This is me. I told you I spent 20 years as a reporter and editor. I cover the White House. I cover the 9/11 attacks. I love teaching. I joined the faculty here in 2008. And when I came on board, we were only print. We had no digital. So I spent the first 2 years writing a lot of proposals and updating curriculum and really bringing our curriculum fully into the digital age. But you're always running to keep up. So we try very hard to stay really current by introducing different skills as they sort of get introduced into the digital and news ecosystem. And Curt has over a decade of experience in digital and web communication. He has been a media advisor at, I think, 2 different institutions. Is that right?
It's 3.
3,
Actually.
okay.
3, yeah.
And he's really interested in the solutions journalism movement, which is a very interesting movement journalism that really partners with communities, I would say. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
To help, sorry.
Well, I was going to say they're really having their moment now as well with health journalism and coronavirus. Some really great reporting coming out of solutions journalism.
And Curt just was accepted into a kind of a fellowship opportunity to go to a conference fellowship to study more about solutions journalism, so he can bring more understanding of this back to our students who for whom this is important. Our students are very engaged in the community. They're very social justice oriented. They want to understand how to use their journalism, not just to report on communities, but to engage with communities and help communities tell their own stories, I think. So as soon as COVID passes, Curt will go to this, and we're looking forward to what he's going to bring back. Okay, I told you a little bit about our adjunct faculty, Josh Hinkle, who is Director of Investigations and Innovations at KXAN, the Austin NBC affiliate. They're constantly winning awards. Josh takes our students on a tour of the newsroom every year. Our students get to watch the newscast from behind the scenes live. This is always a really popular trip. They learn a lot. Matt Largy from KUT is going to teach podcasting. Katie Hayes-Luke teaches a very popular visual storytelling class. She is a photojournalist and a multimedia producer. She's been published in all kinds of places. Very popular teacher. Jody Seaborn is a wonderful writer and columnist who was an editor in a couple of different positions at the Austin American-Statesman, and writes, is a professional writer now for Stratfor, which is a kind of research writing outfit based here in Austin. Emily Quigley is a veteran journalist. She ran the copy desk at the Austin American-Statesman, is at UT now, and still teaches our copy editing course, and is really excellent. Students learn a lot and always say great things about her classes. And we have other adjunct instructors, but kind of wanted to focus on some of the main people you might meet if you join us on the Hilltop. We want to tell you a little bit about our students. This is students at work at Hilltop Views. Matthew San Martin, who was editor-in-chief with Joey Haddon. Matthew is graduating this year. Joey graduated last year. They're at work in the Hilltop Views offices, which are in beautiful Holy Cross Hall, newly renovated, beautiful building in the center of campus. We have 2 really lovely offices for student journalists, fully equipped. And Joey graduated and got a paid fellowship opportunity at Business Insider in Brooklyn, New York. And she did very well, worked really hard for a few months, and was recently hired on full-time as a visual journalist. She was a photography and media arts major and really fell in love with journalism. So she was our first photographer editor-in-chief, and she brought just this enormous, important way of looking at stories because of her visual experience. And she and Matt, I think, really were a good team, worked really well together. Curt, you might want to talk a little bit about sending students to CMA.
Yeah, so this is a photo from last year, the College Media Association conference in New York City. So we have a couple of our editors there, along with a former student who is at NYU studying, getting their master's degree in journalism. So not only were our student editors able to attend, they actually presented at the College Media Association. So in terms of professional development, that's a great experience for them. The conference was great. A lot of great breakout sessions, but then they also get the experience of presenting as well. And then we are also in the process of forming our own local chapter of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. So on campus, that should start up this next fall. So that's another great opportunity for our students. We're always looking for more opportunities. The Online News Association has a strong presence here in Austin, Texas, along with other groups, right, in Austin. Austin's a great city to get involved in, and we're always looking for these opportunities for our students.
And the students you see here, Gianni Zuria is one of the co-editor-in-chiefs now. She's graduating next year. In the middle is Kate Barton. Kate is at NYU. She's finishing up, actually, it's a dual degree in journalism and global studies with an emphasis on European and Mediterranean communities. So she's a really interesting career ahead of her. She comes from a newspaper family in Hayes County, which is in the Hill Country, right outside of Austin, beautiful Hill Country. And this is Joey Haddon, who we just told you about, who's a business insider and publishing like crazy. So you can find her byline very easily if you're looking to find out more about what she's doing. Hilltop Views, as I said, publishes each week. It's distributed around campus. The students distribute it. The printer delivers it. Students take it and distribute it and put it into newspaper boxes. And we have a student here who's enjoying Hilltop Views. We're also online and very active on social media, which is also a great experience for editors who are students who become editors as a designated social media and web editor. So you can get that full experience of working in print, also working online, also putting stories on social media, and you tell stories in a different way on social media. We've won awards over the years. Curt, last year we won first place.
Yeah, it's first place, best overall newspaper from the Texas Intercollegiate Press Association.
So the students are really, they do this independently. They decide what they're going to print. They decide what they want to emphasize. As I said, the faculty advisor, Curt, and me, kind of on the margins, try to really help guide students. But we feel it's really important for them to have editorial independence, and the university supports students in the exercising of their editorial independence, which is a very important vote of confidence the university has in its student journalists and in us, and we appreciate it and take our role very, very seriously. Our students do very well. Journalism, like all professions that are about media or producing content, is going through an ongoing disruption. I prefer to think of it as a transition in a digital world. This is true for book publishing. This is true for music. This is true for art. This is true for anything that involves creating content. And yet our students have done very, very well in this new ecosystem. I think it's because we train them for it. They are reporters and editors at the Austin American-Statesman here in Austin, the Dallas Morning News, the Houston Chronicle. We have a student at the Juneau Empire who is got his master's degree at American University. He is a Marine Corps veteran, really interesting guy who came in as an older student, did really well as a student journalist. He keeps in touch with me. We talk pretty frequently. He zoomed in and visited my class from his Alaska newsroom. So I really like to hear his journalism adventures in Alaska. We have students go to KXAN for internships, and then we had a student who was hired out of her internship into a full-time position there and was there for a year until she went to the University of Missouri's very excellent graduate journalism program. She's finishing up her master's this year in broadcast journalism and plans a career in broadcast journalism. We've had a student go to the Center for Responsive Politics. And one student who I taught, who graduated in 2013, who I also remained close to, was at the Dallas Morning News for 7 years and was hired away fairly recently by the mayor of Dallas to be his communications chief. And so he's taken the skills that he's learned in journalism in the newsroom, he's now applying them to working with the mayor on communications in the city of Dallas at this very interesting moment. Our students go to graduate school, they do very well. We've had students get a free ride, full tuition scholarships to Syracuse University's very fine graduate journalism program. We have students who've been accepted at Columbia's graduate program, City University of New York, Medill, Berkeley. Our students really do well and make the most of their opportunities, and we really help them think about graduate programs through the application process, supporting them with letters of recommendation. Hardworking, talented students who want careers in journalism, we really focus on helping them achieve that goal. We really hope to see you on the Hilltop. We know this is a tough time and that college tours are virtual. We wish we could meet you in person right now, but we're going to talk to you any way that you want to talk to us. So please feel free to be in touch. If you have questions, feel free to email me. You can see my email address here, jenaheath@stedwards.edu. We are really happy to talk by email. I'm happy to set up a Zoom or a Google Hangout or a FaceTime, or I'm sure Curt would also be happy to talk with you.
Definitely.
These are our editors, last year's crew, who put on an orientation to welcome new students. And so, you know, they're a fun group, as you can see, in front of the iconic red door in the main building. The red door is a kind of symbolic, it's a real door, it's also the symbolic portal into the St. Edward's community, which is a really supportive and rigorous academic community. And we hope to see you here. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us anytime. I don't see questions in the chat, but if you do have questions and you want to talk with us, you know how to reach me, and we're happy to give you more information. So I think that's it. Anything else?
Thank you. No, that's great. Thank you for joining us.